Through your teachings, I've actually started dreaming again and actually made the mistake, I think, of getting in my own way by sharing my dreams with others who want to help me manifest them. Yet, they don't see the dream as I see it, and I'm feeling pressure from them to manifest the dream in the way they want it. Specifically, I want a horse farm. Doesn't have to be now, but some point in my future, I want to have horses, I have one, but I want more. And they've gone out with this real estate market and said, now is the time, sell your property and move to this, and they found property. And how do I tell them that I'm having fun with the vision and I'll wait for the universe to give it to me without offending them or getting in my own vibration? Because it's fun, and we go look at property, but then it isn't what I want, and then I feel a downward sense of joy rather than an upliftment.
Well, what you can say to them softly is, I'm still in the data collecting phase, and so it's fun to collect the data, but let's not try to make anything happen. And just keep explaining to them, because we think that the reason that they are tapping into your dream is because they can believe in the manifestation of your dream even more than they can believe in the manifestation. And so it's fun to sort of hook into someone who you can feel is on a roll, so to speak. And we think what's bothering you is not that they are pressuring you, because we can feel that you would like to fulfill your dream too. We think that what's happening is it is amplifying your awareness that things aren't quite lined up. And it's easier for you when things aren't lined up to just take a deep breath and say, well, I'm pushing it too fast. But it's harder if you have other people around you to get them to understand that. But this is a wonderful opportunity for you to show them what you do when you can feel that you are out of alignment. It's an interesting thing. We watch many of you who are coming more into your conscious awareness of your own vibrational alignment. And there is almost a feeling of resentment when you find other people around you that are making sort of shock waves in your vibration. It's sort of like what you're wanting to say to them is either go away and be a non-vibrating issue in my energy field, or get it right. And neither one of those things can happen as long as you've got your eye on them. In other words, so you sort of hold to you the very thing that you are not want. They and what they think have to become a real non-issue to you. And so you can do that. Have you ever been around someone who, maybe it was a child, who was making up a complete fantasy, an absolute fabrication about something, and you didn't really think that they were going to get a unicorn and jump over the moon on it, but they're talking to you about it. And so you just smile and say, that's nice. And you don't try to dash their dreams. You don't try to set them straight. You're willing to let them have their fantasy while you go about whatever you are doing. Well, what you're going to want to do with these people that are trying to hook into your fantasies or your dreams is sort of think about them in the same way that you would that child. Just say, well, that's nice. Don't let what they think be so important to you. Now, how do you go about that? You go about that by letting what you think be the thing that is most important to you. And you say, well, that's sort of how I got here. I want to feel good. They're sort of in there not making me feel good. Why don't they mind their own business and go dream their own dream and leave me in a place where things can sort of level out? And we want to say to you, powerful creators like yourself will always have others who are sort of following the jet stream. It's just the way that it always is. And it's time for you, sooner than later, to become comfortable with whatever they do in relationship to you. And that really is something that you very much want to teach and you very much want to understand, is how can I maintain my own vibrational frequency regardless of what anybody else is doing around it? Because the thing that you're wanting to teach, the thing that really needs to be taught, it would benefit anyone who learned it, is don't ask circumstances to change in order for you to feel good. And so in the same way that you're wanting to not need them to be different in order for you to feel good. We know sometimes very well-meaning people can just make you nuts. And there is this desire to please them that is at the root of you letting that happen. When you release your desire to please them, now we talked about at the beginning here today, how can you let go of that desire to please them? And first of all, what's behind a desire to please them? Well, it feels good to please them. And it doesn't feel good not to please them. It got started a long time ago. But what's at the root of needing to please someone else is you tried, not just you, almost everyone, you tried to fill the void of your not connection to your inner being by pleasing someone else who could shine a little approval or appreciation on you. In other words, it was sort of a flawed substitute for true connection. And now it's sort of a vicious circle because you're in that habit of trying to please them because it has paid off in some ways in the past, but in trying to please them, you are at the same time sometimes not able to please yourself. We sort of dabbled on this topic earlier, and let's go back to it because it's really an important topic, and it is the topic of how can I feel so good about who I am that it's all right with me, even if somebody's looking at me and they're not approving of who I am. That's ultimate worthiness, isn't it? I like me so much that it no longer matters to me how you feel about me, which means now I'm free from standing on my head to get your approval. But the big payoff is when you really feel that free and you really feel that worthy, you're delicious to be with. And everybody who's with you benefits. And you can feel it's just that slight tweaking that you're waiting to get into place. So how do you go about it from where you are? Do you say, buzz off and leave me alone? Well, how does that feel? Now, let's talk about this emotional scale. We've been trying to encourage people to reach for the thought that feels a little better. And so when you in your mind, imagine saying something to someone, you can feel whether it's moving you closer to where you want to be or further from where you want to be. So that's the rule of thumb that we would use. In other words, telling them to go away and leave you alone takes you this way on the emotional scale, not this way. Telling them that they're pressuring you takes you this way, not this way. Feeling angry at them for rooting for you takes you this way, not this way. And so anything that you think of that you might say or do to them relative to this subject takes you in the wrong way on the emotional scale, doesn't it? And so then you say, oh, it must not be about them. It must be about me. These emotions that I'm having must be about how I feel about this. In other words, maybe they're just helping through their attention to shine a spotlight on my awareness that I'm not lined up with what I want. That's where your true irritation is coming from, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
In other words, they're just reminding me that I'm not doing what I'm saying I want to do. And so then I'm saying, well, that's because I want the universe to give it to me. And we want to say to you, you're not going to like it very much, but we love saying this to you. If you were in alignment with your dream, the universe would be giving it to you right now. But it's all right for your dream to be an expanding dream. And that's the hard part about co-creating. When you co-create with others, sometimes, every time you co-create with someone else, the things that they want get vibrationally factored in. And so it's very important, especially when you're co-creating, that you continue to talk to yourself about what is important to you, so that what is important to you becomes the dominant vibration. So now, we're going to tell you what's bothering you about all of this. You have not yet, and you're not alone in this, given yourself permission to let what you want be your dominant vibration. Mothers have that a lot. They care so much more about how their children feel than about how they feel. But it happens with everyone. In other words, it's this thing where you care so much about somebody else's well-being. We were visiting with a woman recently who is living in a place that she is really not very happy. She bought a condominium, and there are all kinds of rules and restrictions that were not completely appealing to her. And she moved in before she'd really thought it all through. But the excuse she's using to leave a place she doesn't really want to be is that the rule says the cat has to stay indoors all the time. And so as we chatted with her, it became clear that she cares more about serving the cat's desires than she does about serving her own. Because if it were not for the cat, she'd put up with it. But because the cat wants it differently. And what we are suggesting is that a lot of you are that way, where you'll do things for others that you will not do for yourself. And that's really what this is all about. You have to get selfish enough that you care really, really keenly about how you feel. And when you do, everything else will take care of itself.
A while back, I went through some very difficult times, and actually your teachings helped me through it. And I've had this desire to write a book about it, and friends have encouraged me to do that.
Oh, them again.
Yes, yes. Anytime I think about doing it, it brings all that negative energy back, and I can't see positive benefit coming from that. Should I just forget about it?
Now, this is the perfect question in light of what we've been talking about. No, you should serve the world. You should torture yourself and reclaim that vibration and take yourself right back to where you were before. And never mind what happens to you, as long as good comes out of it for somebody else. Sarcasm again. In other words, so your question is, I'm thinking about doing something that just thinking about it makes me feel negative emotion. But should I push through the negative emotion and do it anyway? Of course, serve your friends.
Well, they say there's money in it, and you know.
Well, they're right there. In other words, if you can really suffer and write it down in a way that makes other people relate to it, they'll flock to it. Law of attraction is very powerful. And so if your goal is money, then do it. If your goal is feeling good, then you might want to choose something else. But the question that we have for you is that the only path through which money can flow?
No.
And does well-being flow through a path that does not feel good? So now we have two new decisions. I'm going to do what feels good to me, more importantly than do what other people are rooting for me to do. And I'm going to follow the trail of feeling good rather than following the trail of money. While they do not need to be separate trails, when they are separate trails, I can feel that they're separate trails. In other words, there's plenty of money on the path that feels good, just like there's plenty of money on the path that doesn't feel so good. There are a lot of miserable people that have plenty of money. People don't understand that because so many people tie their happiness into being able to follow a action path, and they see money as soothing that action path. So that's why so many people are sure that once they get the thing, that it will be the answer to all things. Although our friend says the BMW was not what she was looking for. In other words, now what she thinks she's looking for is a way to pay for the BMW. But what you're all really looking for is that feeling of freedom that you get when you find a way to be happy where you are. And this always concerns people. When we talk about finding a way with no circumstances changing to change the way I feel, that makes people afraid because they say, hey, Abraham, if I get happy about what is, won't I be stuck with what is? Isn't that the same thing as saying to the universe, I'm happy with what is, so don't give me anything else? And we say, no, that's the way you say, I'm happy with what is, and I'm using my happiness about what is to achieve a vibrational alignment that now allows you to give me everything that I've been asking for. In other words, getting happy about where you are and feeling satisfied with what is only practicing the art of allowing. Creation is 3 steps. Step 1, you've been asking all over the place. In other words, the horses, all of that is coming. And if you were in a place that you were allowing the alignment right now, it would all be here right now. But you just don't want to go through all of the trouble of buying something less than what you're really looking for.
Absolutely.
You want to wait until that's sort of like an analogy of that would be in looking for a lover and meeting someone and knowing that this lover was really not even close to what you're looking for, but saying, well, I'll just be with you on my way to you, on my way to you, on my way to you, on my way to you. And what you're saying is, I just like to get myself ready for you. like, I want to just get ready for what I really want. So I'm working to get myself into vibrational alignment with what I really want. And when I am in vibrational alignment with what I really want, then it will flow right here to me.